What if two of the most peaceful men in human history faced each other in war? Not a war of swords, not of blood, but of ideas, of philosophies, of ultimate truths. One taught silence, the other salvation. One gave up desire, the other gave up his life. If they clashed, would they fight? Would they argue? Would one win? Would one surrender? Who would triumph? The man who killed his ego? Or the man who conquered death? Welcome to the battle that never happened but should have been imagined. Jesus versus Buddha. You're watching Scientist and Philosopher, where truth isn't preached, it's pursued. Before we imagine the battle, we must first meet the warriors. Not soldiers, not kings, but seekers, walkers of fire, slayers of illusion. They were not born into the same time, or place, or religion, but their message echoed across centuries. Let's begin with the one who sat beneath the tree. Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. He was born into royalty, a prince of the Shakya kingdom, surrounded by silk, perfume, and pleasure. But his father hid the truth. No old age, no sickness, no death, until one day Siddhartha saw it all, and everything shattered. He left everything, his wife, his child, his title. For 6 years he wandered, starved himself, fought his body, tortured his mind, until he sat beneath the Bodhi tree and vowed, "I will not move until I am free." Days passed, temptations came, demons whispered, but he stayed, still, focused, awake. And then he opened his eyes, not to heaven, but to truth. He had become the Buddha, the awakened one, Jesus the Christ. 5 centuries later, in a dusty corner of the Roman Empire, a child was born in a manger, in occupied land, among the forgotten. He grew up not in luxury, but in labor, as a carpenter, among fishermen, tax collectors, and outcasts. He healed the sick, raised the dead, and challenged the powerful. He said things no one dared to say: "Love your enemy. Blessed are the poor. Turn the other cheek." He walked with the broken, spoke to the hated, touched the untouchables. And then he was betrayed, whipped, mocked, and nailed to a cross. But the story didn't end there, because 3 days later, the tomb was empty. To his followers, he wasn't just a teacher, he was God in human form. 2 paths, 1 quest. Now pause and imagine them side by side. Buddha calm, still, inward. Jesus fierce, loving, outward. One says, desire is the cause of suffering. The other says, faith will set you free. One teaches mindfulness. The other, mercy. One speaks of selflessness. The other, sacrifice. Their styles were different, their symbols different, but their mission, the same, to free the human spirit. Was there ever a real war? No. Maybe they would never have fought. Maybe they would have sat down, shared silence, and smiled. But in this series, we imagine the impossible to see what we might learn from it. Not to make one right or one wrong, but to see deeper, ask bolder, and awaken wider. So what happens when Jesus meets Buddha? Do they debate? Do they hug? Do they change each other? Imagine a place beyond time, where history folds into eternity. No religion, no followers, no scriptures, just 2 seekers. One sits beneath the tree, his eyes closed in deep meditation. The other walks through the dust, his face radiant with compassion. Buddha and Jesus, 2 souls drawn together on a silent battlefield of ideas. Jesus, you have found truth in silence. Buddha, and you in love. A pause full of meaning. Jesus, in my Father's kingdom, love reigns supreme. It is the light that conquers all darkness. Buddha, the light you speak of shines within, but only when we extinguish desire can we see clearly. Jesus, Faith heals the broken heart. It forgives the unforgivable. It brings life from death. Buddha, compassion sees suffering in all beings. It walks the Eightfold Path, leading to liberation from pain. Jesus, who is my neighbor, the one I love? Buddha, the self dissolves, all are one. To harm another is to harm oneself. Neither wins, neither loses. Instead, a dance of ideas unfolds. Would they fight with words or embrace with understanding? What would happen if two of the greatest teachers, instead of clashing, created harmony? Jesus, your silence is powerful. I have heard it in my prayers. Buddha, and your love is fast. It fills the emptiness I have seen. They rise. They walk side by side, not as rivals, but as companions on the human journey. Two paths, not opposing, but complementary. One leads inward, the other outward. One to stillness, the other to action. Both paths teach us to transcend ego, to awaken love, to face suffering without fear. Jesus, if the world could learn this, to love deeply and be still deeply, what miracles might unfold? Buddha, a world freed from craving and hate, where peace is the only war. This was never a battle to be won. It was a meeting of minds, a merging of hearts. Between Jesus and Buddha, there was no war, only awakening. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself.